This is the story of David and Goliath. Goliath is University Hospital that heavy-handedly forced pro-life nurses to participate in abortion, even though it violated state and federal laws. David is the courageous nurses who risked losing it all to stand for their beliefs, and the attorney who came to their rescue, armed with a slingshot and the smooth stones of justice, faithfulness, and respect for human life. Stay with us to see who wins. Faye Vinoya is a same-day surgery nurse at the University Hospital in Newark, New Jersey. Faye was coerced into having an abortion a year after she immigrated to the United States and has always regretted her decision. Since then, her pro-life conviction has grown stronger. The same-day surgery unit Faye works in provides chemical abortion procedures, but the hospital never required nurses who were against abortion to participate in assessment and operative care for abortion patients. But all of that changed when a new nurse manager was promoted in September of 2011.
Well, what happened was one of the nurses, the abortion nurse, complained that she wasn't being given the relief for break, and she went to the nurse manager. What the nurse manager did was they got this policy in the unit. They presented this policy saying that we all have to assist in the abortion, and because they think it is like an emergency issue because the mom is bleeding, and we need to assist because it's an emergency case.
Faye wasn't the only nurse who was surprised and upset by the mandate change. Fellow same-day surgery nurses Beryl Otieno Goje, Jacqueline DeSeo, Meritus Linak, and Milagros Manonquil were shocked to learn they too would be forced to assist in abortion procedures.
At first I don't know how to react because we were just taken by surprise. As co-workers, we all talked about it. We were talking about how we felt about it, and I really don't want to do it because I highly disagree about it because of my faith, and it is not, for me, it's not part of my profession as a nurse.
I feel is my calling in nursing is to heal, to help, and not the opposite. And I consider abortions the opposite, like ending of life, intentionally ending. I mean, if life is going to end, I'd let nature take its course. But for me to take part in that is just something I can't do.
I was confused. The stress level was very high because we were told whether we take the job or we're out in the hospital. And knowing my job is the food of my family, so it's kind of, but I'm really very definite that I'm not doing it. I'd rather be out from there or, not taking the job.
I made a letter and we all signed in the petition letter saying that we disagree. We would not like to participate in this abortion case because we know that the abortion is done in the unit. This is not just interviewing the patient. This is not just asking questions, what their name, their vital signs and all that. It's not just that. As my nurse manager said actually beforehand, before we filed the lawsuit, she told me, well, you don't need to feel guilty because you're not the doctor. The doctor's the one who's giving the cytotec pill. All you need to do, you have to catch the baby's head, put a chalk pad on top of the baby, and then throw the baby in the bin, in the bucket. And with that, I was like, well, isn't that making me like as an accomplice of the crime? And that was like, okay, this is it.
Coming up, we'll meet the lawyer who came to the aid of Faye and her fellow nurses. Demetrius Stratus is an attorney with the law office of Ruda, Solios, and Stratus. He also works with Alliance Defending Freedom, a network of lawyers across the country who coordinate legal defense against the growing attacks on religious freedom. Demetrius and fellow attorney Matt Bowman met with Faye to discuss the case. She invited them to an upcoming meeting the hospital administration had planned with the nurses. Demetrius showed up to explain the law that defends the rights of the nurses, but soon found his presence wasn't welcome. What is the law exactly as it pertains to this case?
There's both federal and state law. Both say essentially the same thing, and in New Jersey it's called the conscience law. You cannot force, no nurse, no one can be forced to assist or perform in an abortion. It's that simple and it's that clear. Unfortunately, this university hospital was violating that law. And I was there prepared to tell them, management team, that you can't force our nurses to do so. It would be violating this law.
What is the penalty for violating that law?
Under federal law, they could lose all of their grants and funding that they would be getting from the state.
Which would be how much in this case?
$60 million.
$60 million.
Yes.
So I take it they weren't expecting to see a lawyer accompany these women to this meeting.
I'm sure they weren't. They were expecting to meet with the nurses to explain why the policy is what it is and why they would have to assist in these abortions and what the schedule would be for the next training session. When I walked in with my litigation bag in tow and in my blue pinstripe suit, I think I was the last thing that they expected.
That started everything, became a big commotion. The union prep was yelling and getting mad at all of us. Why did we get a union rep? It was just supposed to be a meeting between the hospital and the staff, but it turned out to be like a big thing now.
See, they thought they were going to get by bullying you all until the attorney showed up.
And that's why we were just glad that Mr. Demetrius was there.
Did you feel encouraged or discouraged at that moment?
Well, we were encouraged in our fight. We were like, we gotta stand this. We got something going here. And they realized we were not playing. And they were not just gonna bully us and, make us do it and, threaten us with all kinds of things. I mean, there's an attorney in here. But they were terrified with us.
Not only were the nurse manager and members of the hospital administration against Faye's position, so was the nurses' union. The nurses had hoped the union would take up their cause and defend their rights, but were surprised to witness the opposite.
We thought that they were going to help us, but when we went to the meeting, it turned out that they were against us, and the feeling was they were more for the administration.
Why was that? Aren't they supposed to be for the little guys?
Like Mr. Demetrius said, I thought that you guys were supposed to be on their side, but you were with administration side. We were really very surprised that, we thought that they will, being members of the union for a long time, we thought that at least, they will do something for us at that time when we didn't know what to do. But it turned out that they were even non-supportive of whatever we felt at that time.
Did you feel abandoned?
We really felt abandoned.
I was surprised by their position, quite candidly, because after this meeting, we then got in touch with their lawyers. We had to file a TRO, and I was surprised that they were taking such a hard-nosed position. They were trying to come up with, I guess, a spin, if you will. And their spin was the following. Well, really, we're not asking them to assist in an abortion, but if the person is bleeding, that's an emergency. So there's an emergency exception, and you would have to assist in whatever is necessary to save that person's life. The problem is, this is a same-day surgery unit. This is not the ER room. These women were specifically scheduled to go to this same-day surgery unit for a TOP, termination of pregnancy. Now, you cannot spin it in a way that, well, they come in for this TOP, we give them this pill, then the abortion process is beginning. Now they start bleeding during that abortion process. Oh, now you nurses who are against abortion, you have to come in and assist. That is pretextual. That is not what this law, this is exactly what this law was designed. They came in to be scheduled for a TOP. This is what the intent was. This is not an emergency exception to that rule.
What helped you to stand strong against the mandate and not give up?
My faith. our fate.
We were ready. We expected to have no more jobs in that place. And if that's what it was going to take, so be it. God was going to provide. Yeah. And even after the fact of everything happened, we were so glad we stood our ground. Yeah.
In a moment, we'll learn the outcome of the controversial University Hospital's abortion mandate. After the same-day surgery nurses were forced to help assist with abortions, Faye Vanoia circulated a petition that 12 of the unit's 15 nurses signed. As their court date drew near, the nurses were plagued by fear and stress while at work, and despite the case and court date, the hospital was still forcing some nurses to train in abortion care.
It was pretty scary because what happened was there's a lot of threats going around. There was a time when they gave us all, the 12 of us, a letter saying that we need to have a meeting with them. They were asking each and every one of us 12 where would we want to be relocated in the unit, in the hospital. I was like, no, I'm not. I like my unit, the same-day surgery, and I don't want to leave our unit. And they were asking each and every 12 nurses about this. They just want us to just give in. They just wanted us to just be quiet and follow their rule.
Before Demetrius could get the court order to stop things, a couple of nurses were forced to train with the abortion procedure. But one nurse used that position to help save a baby, didn't she?
They had this list of nurses who's gonna do the assessment of the patient and who's gonna interview the patient as well. So then when Sharon came in, before she came in, she was praying, and she was really, really upset that she's going with this. And then when she came in, the mom said, I don't know what she said to the mom, but apparently the mom just canceled the abortion after. So she did not go through it, which was really nice. In fact, during this time that this has been happening, I've been emailing our nurse manager. I was telling her that God is working on our side because these cases have been getting smaller and smaller. During the time that we are being forced to assist, to train for this assisting. And a lot of them have been canceling, and then, the numbers who are scheduling themselves are getting smaller. So it's like, God is telling you something. And I'm pretty sure it's not for us to assist because we are under duress and we don't want to go through this.
Despite the threats, tension, and growing media coverage, the case came to a quick end when the judge announced during a preliminary hearing a settlement had been reached.
The settlement that was achieved is a victory because what the judge ordered and what the hospital agreed to is that no nurse would have to assist in an abortion if they didn't want to. Of course, in an emergency, and again, an emergency that being where they're coming in for a different reason, and something happens, if someone's bleeding, if someone's life is being threatened, of course our nurses are going to be there to assist. But that's not the case here. But the settlement is exactly what we wanted all along, that the law be upheld, that no nurse, no person would have to assist in an abortion.
It felt like a sense of relief that, okay, this is done, praise the Lord. I was really, really thankful. But there's also a hint of fear in my heart because of retaliation.
We were concerned that now that the settlement happened, if there would be some fallout from that, and the court made it crystal clear from the bench as well as from the documents that there was not to be any retribution, retaliation, of course, for these nurses taking that position.
We won the case. There's really nothing, like I work as a nurse, and they don't bother us anymore after we won the case. But before that, it was the anxiety, the stress level was very high at the time.
Well, it seems twofold. The doctor, the particular doctor who does the abortion cases, didn't get past that. She's still stuck in, where we were with the fight, making angry comments up to today. She still does the abortions with her own special team, but she has very negative feelings towards the regular 12 nurses in the unit. But the other people, I think, from my belief, or the way I see it, I think the other people seem to have moved past it and with having a different relationship with them. I've talked to several of them, some people from the administration, and they're like, okay, this happened, it came to this and we've gotten past it, let's move on and, create a good working relationship. But also just with the realization that it's still an open case. And in case of anything, right after we had the ruling from the judge, there were a few cases of retaliation that tried things here and there, and we'd let Demetrius know right away, and he'd write back to the attorney, and they're like, oh, stop. So they seem to have gotten the message.
What kind of reaction did you get from the public and the media?
Overwhelmingly a wonderful one. One, I've heard stories of how this has inspired others to stand up, because that's the message that needs to be taken from this. They stood up against the university hospital. They were faced with losing their jobs, and that was a decision that they had to make: their faith or their jobs. And they stood up for what was right, and it took a lot of courage to do that.
When we return, we'll hear the nurses' heartfelt messages to Demetrius and Alliance Defending Freedom. Faye, Burl, Jacqueline, Meritus, Milagros, and 7 other nurses risked their jobs and livelihood to stand up for their belief all unborn children deserve a chance at life. With the help of Alliance Defending Freedom and attorneys Demetrius Stratus and Matt Bowman, they're able to go about their jobs without fear of being fired for their convictions. And all were quick to express their gratitude for the help they received. What would you like to say to Demetrius and the Alliance Defending Freedom?
Well, Demetrius, you're an angel. That's all I can say. Well, yeah, he's such an angel. He's my spiritual mentor, and we're just so grateful for everything that he has done.
We are God sent, and we are so thankful that they were able to help us. Most of all, without, it's a pro bono charitable act.
So he's not getting rich off you ladies, is he?
We are so thankful to them.
Demetrius, do you think this case will be a symbol for other medical professionals who might be pressured or forced into participating in abortion?
It should be. Absolutely, it should be. There is a federal law that protects them, and it's the right of conscience law. And if you think about it just from a principle standpoint, each one of us has a conscience, and we shouldn't be forced to do anything that's against that. That's what this country was founded on, and that's what these nurses did, and that's what all people in the medical profession should be inspired to realize, that they have that right to stand up and say no. Abortion is something that I feel strongly about. I believe it's a killing of innocent lives, and I'm not going to assist in any way in the performance of that abortion.
What would you like to say to other nurses who may find themselves in the same predicament that you were?
That there's help out there. You're not alone in your fight. And it did happen to us, so I believe God will always provide the help.
They should first tell their employer that they object, and the reason that they object is they have a sincerely held religious belief, moral belief or otherwise, against abortion, that they believe it's the killing of innocent lives. They take that position, they must state it to their employer, and their employer should back down. Now, I'm not saying all employers will, and we see that with the university hospital. but then they should go seek legal counsel.
Find your faith, listen to your conscience, be true to yourself, and if you believe in something, don't let somebody else push you to do the opposite. Because at the end of the day, you're answerable to yourself. You know, it may be difficult, it may be scary, it will be very scary, but don't be bullied. You know, don't be bullied. It pays to stand your ground, and like I said, we're very grateful that we went the route we did. We could have just decided to, you know, act like it didn't matter, but then where would we be now?
The moral of this story is that even when things look dark and defeat is knocking at the door, stand true to your beliefs and don't give up. Victory for these 12 nurses was hard fought, and there were times they didn't think they'd win. But just like them, sink or swim, you'll know you faithfully run the race. Thanks for watching. This week I'm offering you this beautiful Angel of Healing statue. She will serve as a reminder we all have been called to provide healing and care to even the smallest among us. Visit our website at facinglife.tv to enter for your chance to receive one free. While there, find out how you can order a copy of today's episode on DVD or Blu-ray to share with others.